Hi everyone, from wherever you are watching from. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In today's video, as per this request, I'm going to share with you the easy way on how to draft this waistcoat using a step-by-step method that I will be showing you. Just watch this video up to the end. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump straight to our waistcoat practical pattern drafting class. As usual, I first draw this vertical straight line on one side of my pattern paper, which will be the center front guideline. One horizontal line on top of my pattern paper, which will be neck and shoulder guideline. I label this point A, which is the starting point for most of my calculated body measurements. So now, from starting point A, I measure downwards chest 39 inches divided by 24, giving me 1.6 inches. So I mark 1.6 inches here. After, I square across straight line. I label this shoulder drop line. Next is to determine underarm line stroke chest line. From starting point A, I measure downwards chest 39 inches divided by 4, giving me 9.75 inches plus 0.75 inches for length is giving me 10.5 inches. So I mark 10.5 inches here. After, I square across straight line. After, I determine belly stroke tummy line position. I measure from starting point A downwards 16.5 inches for the position of the belly. I square across a straight line. After, I input waistcoat front tip extension hemline. From starting point A, I measure downwards 24 inches. Then I square across straight line. Also from this tip extension hemline, I mark downwards 1.5 inches for tip hem allowance guide. Still, I square across straight line. Next is to determine waistcoat overall hemline. From starting point A, I measure downwards overall length 18 inches. After, I square across a straight line. Ladies and gentlemen, the 7 horizontal working lines that are needed for our waistcoat drafting project are ready. Next is to insert these calculated body measurements to these lines accordingly. I begin by inserting the neck. So, from starting point A, measure inwards chest 39 inches, divide by 12, giving me 3.25 inches. So I mark 3.25 inches here. Then I square up a straight guideline. Then at this 3.25 inch point, I mark upwards 0.25 inches for front neck depth. Next is to insert shoulder to shoulder measurements to this shoulder drop line. From this center front guideline, I measure inwards shoulder to shoulder measurements 17 inches divided by 2, giving me 8.5 inches plus 0.5 seam allowance, giving me 9 inches. So I mark 9 inches here. Then I connect these 2 points together to create shoulder slant line. Next is to determine across front rise. I measure what I have here, 9 inches. I square it to the chest line in this way. After, I square up arm rise straight line. Next is to create the armhole curve. I come to this arm rise straight line. I measure this distance, I divide it by 2 to get midpoint. So here is my midpoint. Now I come to this point at the chest line. I insert chest measurements. 39 divided by 4 giving me 9.75 inches plus 2 inches for ease stroke loose allowance. Now I connect this point to this point in this way to create armhole curve. Next is to work on waistcoat hemline shaping. What I have here, which is 11.75 inches. I square it to this line and mark here 11.75 inches. After, I minus 1.5 inches. Then I connect this point to this point in this way to create waistcoat side seam line. Next is to insert waistcoat front pocket. I come to this line. I measure inwards chest 39 inches. Divide by 12 giving me 3.25 inches. I mark 3.25 inches here. Still at this 3.25 inch point, I measure inwards chest measurements 39 inches. Divide by 6 giving me 6.5 inches. I minus 1 giving me 5.5 inches. So I mark 5.5 inches here. Then I square these mean lines in this way. Then at this point, I mark downwards 0.5 inches. Also here, I mark upwards 0.5 inches. After, I connect these points together to create the pocket placement point. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying this waistcoat practical class, please give this video a thumbs up, share, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Okay, we continue. I come to this point, I mark downwards 1 inch. Then also I come to this line. At this point, I mark inwards 2.5 inches. After, I connect this 1 inch point to this point in this way. Also, at this side, I mark downwards 1 inch. Then I connect this point to this point like this. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, our waistcoat is already taking shape. Also, at this 1 inch point, I square across a straight guideline. And this line will be the back hem guideline. Next is to insert hem allowance to this pattern. I come to this point, I mark 1.5 inches for hem allowance. After, I square diagonally hem allowance line like this. So this will be my hem allowance. Next is to insert waistcoat button at this point. I insert my first button here. Then from this point, I mark 1.5 inches upwards for the second button, 1.5 inches for the third button. Yeah, next is to insert the waistcoat front shaping. I measure from this point to this center front line. Chest measurements 39 inches divided by 3, giving me 13 inches. So I mark 13 inches here. Then I connect this point to this point with a straight line to create waistcoat front opening. Like this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with front pattern drafting. Next is to work on the waistcoat back pattern. First is to adjust the neck. I come to this point, I mark upwards 0.75 inches for back neck height. After I connect this 0.75 inch point back to this line in a curvy way to create back neck curve. Next is to insert shoulder measurement to back pattern. I come to this point, I measure for the front, which is 6 inches. I square it to this line. So I mark 6 inches here. Then I connect these points together with a red marker pen for my back shoulder drop. Also I connect this point to this line to create my back armhole rise. Now after we have done this, next step is to trim off our back pattern. Note, when trimming this pattern, you will first trim them together, then afterwards you separate the back from the front. Okay, we continue with the trimming. I first trim off only the neckline area for the back. Then I get my tracing wheel. I trace out these red lines for the back. After, I continue with the trimming. Remember, the front armhole is deeper than the back armhole. So I come at this point, I mark inwards 0.5 inches. Then I create my front armhole curve like this. After, I continue with the trimming of the front part only. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the front part, and here it is. Next, we continue trimming the back part. We are done with our trimming of the back part. And this back part, we cut it on the fabric, while this side is on fold. and this is our front pattern. While cutting on a fabric, we cut 2 pieces. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our waistcoat practical pattern drafting class. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, and also don't forget to rate my voice in the comment section. I'll be happy to read your comments and give you back reply. So for now, I say goodbye. See you in my next video. God bless you all. Shalom. I sign out.